guys, and welcome back to the show. I want everyone in the audience, please give a warm welcome to Amanda Tabberer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Look, let's start at the start. Now, of course, everyone knows your mother is Maggie, very, very iconic Australian. But let's start at the start. How did you grow up, and where did you find your love for Italian food?
Well, my stepfather was Italian, the man that Maggie married, the second husband, who was the love of my life, and you'll read about that in the first chapter of this cookbook.
Yes, this new cookbook that's just come out.
Cookbook, yes, and the great affection I had for Pross, who was, you know, very affectionately known by the family members.
Yep.
He was my stepfather, and he had one of the first Italian restaurants in Australia.
Really? I didn't know that.
Called the Buonasera in King's Cross. And that's where I grew up, sitting on a molasses can behind the coffee machine, stuffing my face with fried oysters and fried potatoes.
OK, so you really had no chance. You're always going to be a fan of Italian food.
In love with Italian food from scratch. I didn't have a hope in hell.
That's a really, really nice way to grow. I like that story a lot.
Yeah.
OK, so tell me this. You move into fashion, obviously, follow your mother's influence.
Every step of the way.
Into fashion.
A little bit Freudian.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention. I'm glad you've brought it up. No, OK, so you follow your mother into fashion, and then something draws you overseas and to follow food. Tell me those steps.
Well, I actually went to live in France first because I was originally in fashion, and then after France I came back here for 4 years and worked for Maggie. Then I went to Italy because by that time she was married to the Italian who'd become the love of my life, stepfather.
Yep.
And I went to live in Italy, and I ended up working in fashion in Florence and Milan for a couple of years.
OK.
And then there was this drama with all these planes being shot out of the sky and all this terrorism, and none of us wanted to go on holidays to another country in Europe.
Fair enough.
We had to stay in our own country. So we got the little car and we drove south, knowing that there was this jewel of a place called the Amalfi Coast. And that's where I met my partner, who just happened to be an Italian restaurateur. Hello.
So he's an Italian restaurateur?
The story gets more Freudian.
That's incredible. So you grow up in an Italian restaurant and your partner...
Insane.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All connected.
So how long did you spend on the Amalfi Coast?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
So you would know the food back to front, all the people, everything like that.
I've eaten in every kitchen along that Amalfi, all 13 villages. I have stuffed my face.
Really? Now, did you work in the food industry over there?
Well, I did, because my partner had the restaurant. So at the beginning, I was just the running barefoot waitress in the beach restaurant for like 2 or 3 years.
Very cool, very cool. Now, I've got to ask, because, you know, you have to ask this one. Having spent 20 years in Italy, how do you think, you know, Italian restaurants this day and age in Australia stack up against, you know...
Unbelievable.
Yeah?
I mean, what's happened in the last 20 years while I've been gone is just unbelievable. And what's happened there in 20 years is incredible as well, because when I got to the Amalfi Coast, you ate wonderful food if you went to someone's house, but it was always a bit dodgy in the restaurants. You know, it was a bit for the tourist. It just wasn't quite tweaked yet, and now it is impossible to have a bad meal there.
I like the sound of that.
And most Italian restaurants in Australia, I mean, brilliant. The competition's fierce.
It is fierce out there. Yeah, no, I do agree. Tell me this, because I'm a huge fan of Italian food, but what's your real love about it? You know, tell me what the passion is behind it.
I think the cleanliness and the fact that there's millions of ingredients and it's just so not busy, and you know, you just want a pasta with zucchini, you got pasta and zucchini, that's it. Well, there's not much else.
Well, I like that, because you're actually going to cook us. This is actually the dish you're going to cook. Have a bit of a look at this, guys.
Yeah.
This is the pasta with zucchini that you're going to make for us. Now, this is straight off the Amalfi Coast. This is something you'd be getting.
So traditional. This recipe was actually created on the Amalfi Coast in a tiny little town called Nerano, which is just up the road from...
Say that one again?
Nerano.
Nerano. I like that. I have to say it with the hands just to really get the vibe going.